Okay. I'm really bad at this. Oh my god. I keep saying, okay, I'm gonna come back and be consistent on YouTube again. Meanwhile, I haven't uploaded to the second channel in like 2 months, even though I've got videos recorded for the second channel. I've got about a dozen videos recorded for this channel, some of which have just, it's just too late to post them because things have changed. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my secondary Fantastic Four video out sooner than I did for Superman. And if I do my due diligence and I get this video out by tomorrow from when I'm recording this, then that will be true. I will have gotten it out sooner. But at what cost, really? You know? Anyway, all that out of the way, we're here to talk more in depth about Fantastic Four First Steps, primarily in regards to a little bit of spoiler territory. And what I really mean by that is we're going to talk about the last 30 minutes of the movie and how it connects to Avengers Doomsday. Because for as much as I enjoyed this movie, we're kind of... And I want to do a separate video about post-credit scenes, but we're at a point now where post-credit scenes are just complicating things more than they're building hype, I think. Or at least for me. Because considering everything that we knew about the movie going in, which is that it takes place in an alternate universe, and that Galactus is in it, and that at the end of Thunderbolts, in that post-credit scene, the Fantastic Four are, like, arriving in Earth, what they call 616, but is really Earth 199999. 199999. Yeah, okay. It's hard to say it out loud. But with all of that in mind, it was pretty easy to assume that Galactus was going to win and the Fantastic Four would have to abandon their Earth. Much to my surprise, obviously, if you've seen the movie, that does not happen. Galactus is effectively defeated. He's stranded at the end of the universe with no ship. So I guess he's just gonna have to eat whatever worlds he finds. Because killing Galactus is not an option. He's needed in order for the universe to function. But I was concerned going into the movie because it's like, well, it really does not endear us to Reed Richards if in his first movie he fails to solve the problem and he just leaves his Earth for dead. So I'm glad in a way that they didn't do that. However, it just means that Avengers Doomsday has more to do now. It has more work to do now to explain the Fantastic Four getting to Earth 199999. I'm assuming that it has something to do with Doctor Doom. The post-credit scene for that movie, for Fantastic Four, is very simple, very strange, however, because it's just Franklin Richards at like 5 years old, you know, toddler age, well, beyond toddler age, he's like kindergarten age, and then it's Doctor Doom, and he's like showing him his face for some reason, and there's already speculation. It seems as though Doctor Doom and Avengers Doomsday will be from Earth 828, which is where this movie takes place. But there's no real, like, there's no tangible thing that you can ascertain as far as what his goals are or what he wants to do or why he would need Franklin Richards. Maybe he uses Franklin to create Battle World. I don't know. I don't know. And I know what you're gonna say. Well, of course you don't know, because the movie's not out. Well, sure. But before Avengers Infinity War came out, you knew what Thanos wanted. You knew that he wanted the stones. Whether he wanted to court death or balance the universe was still up in the air. It seemed like he wanted to court death based on the Avengers 1 post-credit scene, but by the time that we get to Infinity War, there's been just enough Thanos to understand his characterization and what he wants. He wants the Infinity Stones. That's good enough to get you to Infinity War. You know, even whatever. Whatever. Even in the Snyderverse, you know what Darkseid wants by the time you see him. You know, which you only see him in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is a non-canon movie, but you know what he wants. He wants the anti-life equation. What does Doctor Doom want? Who fucking knows? Who fucking knows? Because his first appearance it's just his mask. And it's not even like it's not even a scene that contextualizes his motivations. Like at the end of Avengers 1, that post-credit scene, to challenge them is to court death, and then Thanos turns and smiles. That's for comic book readers who know that Thanos is in love with and obsessed with death. That's characterization. That's enough to establish something. In this, he's just there. Anyway. Anyway, I do want to talk about the actual movie that we saw, rather than just speculating about the next one. I said in my original review that it felt like everybody had proper time paid attention, or proper time spent on them, but there was an exception, and that's Ben Grimm. There's really not enough focus on Ben Grimm in this movie, and it's really upsetting because, you know, if you saw the trailer, then you probably remember him watching that video of himself before the original space mission where he still looks like Ben Grimm, and then it cuts to him like looking sad because he's no longer that man. He's become the Thing since then. And it's obviously, you know, it's meant to cast light on just the way that he feels about his current state of being. But there's just that's it in the movie. You know, society loves him, kids love him. He's not treated like a monster in this movie, which I like. You know, with Jack Kirby being gone and Ben Grimm being pretty much Jack Kirby's self-insert character, it's nice to see him being treated well. But if you take that away from him, it doesn't leave a whole lot of depth for the character. There's not a whole lot left to do with him. You know, Sue Storm is the face of the Fantastic Four and the Future Foundation. And, you know, she's the one that's basically taking all the heat for the Fantastic Four and not sacrificing their child. And the entire movie surrounds her and her fierceness and her unwillingness to yield and being willing to do anything it takes to protect her kid. You know, Reed Richards, they show that his intelligence is not only his greatest strength, but also his biggest downfall. It shows that he's definitely neurodivergent, that he's well-meaning, but that he does make mistakes. And that he carries this massive weight on his shoulders. But even still, from the trailers, there's moments like when he said, you know, I stretched the bounds of space and they heard. That's left out. Like, that guilt that he's supposed to have felt, that Galactus coming to Earth is his fault, that's gone. But there's still more depth there than there was for Ben. And, you know, Johnny gets to actually showcase how smart he is for the first time in any of these movies by deciphering the Silver Surfer's language. And he's self-sacrificial in a way, and he has this longing and this yearning for exploration and this love for outer space. And then Ben is just kind of there. You know, Ben is like, I don't know, he's just the guy that everybody leans on, I guess, but it's just not necessarily enough for me. Apart from that, though, I thought everybody was great. I still like Ben in this movie. He's still one of my favorites. It's just unfortunate because I wanted them to all be equally great so that there would be, you know, a pretty even split, like the Ninja Turtles. You know, people love Donnie, Raph, Mikey, and Leo. In this case, it's more people love Reed, Johnny, and Sue, not so much Ben. Silver Surfer's turn, while expected, still just didn't really hit super hard for me, mostly because you don't see her in between Johnny confronting her about her past and her stopping Johnny from making the sacrifice play and helping to defeat Galactus. I don't love that. I would have liked one more scene with her, and I'm sure the script has one more scene where she's talking to Galactus or she's doing something in between being faced with the reality of her own actions and making the switch. But that's it just didn't make the final cut. It's unfortunate because I feel like this was originally like a 2-hour 30-minute movie and Marvel just trimmed the shit out of it. I don't know why. I don't really appreciate this like super streamlining of movies that we have going on right now. I understand that it's to screen the movie as many times as possible, to try to maximize revenue. It's what happened with Justice League. It's what happened with Batman vs Superman. These kinds of things happen. But Marvel, you put out the 3-hour version of Avengers Endgame, you know, and Disney, you're going to put out a 3-hour Avatar movie this December. Longer movies are perfectly welcome. I mean, look how well Sinners did. And Sinners is actually shorter than I thought it was. It's upsetting because it feels like the same thing that Superman suffers from. I feel like there's about 15 minutes of material trimmed off of Superman, and it feels like there's about 30 minutes of material trimmed off of Fantastic Four. And I don't love that. I don't love that. I thought it hurt Thor: Love and Thunder. I thought it hurt Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I just feel as though characterization being removed from the movie is never going to help the movie. And considering that the Fantastic Four, they don't have the most interesting powers. There's a stretchy guy, a woman who turns invisible and makes force fields, a strong guy made of rocks, and a guy that catches on fire. Very much a product of their time and of their era. So what's interesting is the people, is the characters, and the situations that they find themselves in. That's the stuff that makes the Fantastic Four work. It's not about these huge spectacles. You know, that's what the Avengers are for. That's what the X-Men are for. But overall, I did still quite enjoy the movie. Have not gotten around to watching it a second time yet. Just been a little busy, I suppose. Anyway, have you seen... Oh my gosh. Have you seen Fantastic Four: First Steps yet? I hope so, because I've just ruined everything for you if you hadn't. But, what do you think about it? Does it make you any more or less excited for Avengers Doomsday? And are you looking forward to 10 years of Pedro Pascal in the MCU? I can't really say that I am. With all that being said, I've got to get the hell out of here.